This is a project that is about halfway through. This is the first time I ever did a national focus group on this idea. Again, it was done with representatives of 1,500 community organizations around the United States who are members of what they call NCLR, or the National Council of La Raza, which is considered to be the premier Latino advocacy group in the country. It's called the Codex NCLR because many artists use the form of codices, or the books that were written by the Aztecs and the Mayans, most of which were destroyed. One of them is in the Library of Congress, and there are a few that are at the Vatican. They came from the indigenous people, but many people now use the codex as a form for reclaiming their heritage. This will just show you how prominent the place of this existing building is, because it's just a few blocks from the White House in Washington, D.C. So the expression of this building for the most important emerging demographic group in the country was made the conversation, in some cases, very tense, and in many cases, beautifully fruitful. But the truth of the matter is, like many of the barrios that we work in, we were just dealing with an existing building and trying to figure out how to layer it in order to create an expression of what this building was going to be in the future. And so we came up with this idea of taking their image, which is the eagle known in Mexican and Mexican-American folklore known as Cuautli, and turning it into a cultural statement. We decided that everybody was very focused on the idea that it needed to be pan-Latino. And so I spent a lot of time figuring out, by talking to sociologists and demographers, what pan-Latino meant, and decided that the way to express it was through pattern. That there were patterns that came out of many different cultures that could be used in this project. In this case, we decided that placing a courtyard in front of the building, on the street, on one of the busiest streets in downtown Washington, D.C., was an appropriate front door to this building. In some cases, it is very vibrant and active, and in this case, which I'm calling the Feng Shui Garden, it's very quiet. All of the ground floor is devoted to activism. So it is highly interactive space that can be used by all 1,500 affiliate organizations of NCLR. So it's action center and conference space and event space. And the patio, or the plaza that sits in front of the building, actually is the foundation of the strength of the organization, because it comes from those affiliate places that are doing incredible work in communities across the United States. And because this project, like all of the projects I've ever worked on, except for one, has a very modest budget, we decided that what we could afford to do was to take this existing kind of black marble, it's actually black granite frame, and inside of the frame create a woven pattern of metal textiles with a pattern on them that would talk about the way Latinos are woven together with the rest of the fabric of the country. And because I just wanted to have fun, in order to, I turned the eagle into this big red cultural statement, red being the color of activism. But at the same time, then I put these fins on the building and used LED light behind them, so they were kind of like a lowrider car. And that'll show you the pattern that we ultimately decided on. And this will show you the two test panels that are currently up on the building. One that is brown and one that is pristine silver. And there was a lot of conversation about the nature of brown.
Is it embossed?
This is actually embossed, and this is actually finished in two different. One finish is chrome, and the other one is brushed finish. So.
The granite was the frame?
Pardon?
The granite was the frame, the outside?
Yes, you can see the black granite right here. And you can see the ugly panels that are kind of up on the building right now, and they'll be replaced from these. And these will be lit from behind. And in the end, because this is an organization that, in many ways, has hybrided. How do you say that? Become a hybrid organization that depends upon corporate America. That was the line that we walked throughout this project. And so there was a dialogue in this project with the corporate sponsors who gave the $32 million to buy and renovate the building. And in the end, and I kind of agree with them, I think this is more I think this panel was the more appropriate cultural statement to use brown on the building. But I actually like this panel better. And in the end, they chose this one.
You chose which one?
The silver. And this will show you the building the way it's supposed to look at night with the lowrider car lit up.
Did they ever consider mixing the two?
They did. We did. We did. And we considered putting different patterns on each level of the building. And in the end, to tell you the truth, sometimes you just have to make a decision about what makes beautiful architecture. And in the end, I think we made the right decision. This is a different, all of this is exploration. You know, architecture and space is different than designing Trump's water bottle. It takes a long time, and it takes you a long time before you find out whether you made a mistake or not. And so that's about 11 years of exploration, about half of what I've shown you. This is a building that was just completed, and it's a building that was starting to be designed during the very beginnings of the immigration debate in this country. And we had spent so much of the first 10 years of this exploration thinking regionally, that once we started to get opportunities like the NCLR building, we decided, well, maybe we really needed to look at the other great traditions or dialogues in architecture. So I think you could split architecture and spatial design into two main ideas over the course of the last century. There's lots of them, but two main ideas. One is regionalism and the other is internationalism. And so this is actually an exploration of how you would take a cultural approach to international style architecture. It is a building for probably the most important foundation in San Antonio for sure, very wealthy. They sold a hospital to Hospital Corporation and created a $1 billion foundation that does such incredibly good work in poor communities throughout South Texas, primarily focused on education and health. And it was proposed to be sited on a very prominent corner in the medical center complex in San Antonio, Texas, which also is very vibrant. And so the first thing that we decided to do was we actually built this hill. We actually reclaimed earth and built a hill so that the building was prominent. And then we decided that this time, we had spent all of this time exploring color, that the most important statement for this building was the purity of the work that was being conducted by the foundation. And what I found once the building was done was that white is an incredibly important color against the vibrancy of the South Texas sun. We decided that the building could be beautiful, modernist architecture, but that it could still have a cultural meaning. This right here is the room where most of the important decisions are made with regard to the work that the foundation does, and we wanted to set that off and give it a prominence of a different kind. There was a lot of consideration given to a different kind of cultural pathway, which is enlightenment, and how you get from here to there. It is a building that, from a climactic standpoint, really has to be respectful of how hot it is in South Texas. A lot of the conversation with the foundation leaders was about the contemplative nature of their work and going away after a project had been completed. So the exterior space of the building is really intended to be kind of a Zen garden, if you will, for them. But again, we wanted the project to be rooted in our ideas that had been derived over the course of the last 12 years. But it had to be married to their ideas. And the Methodist, this building is the Methodist Healthcare Ministries Foundation. And Methodists have wonderful words. And so we decided that we would combine this kind of low-rider car technology that we've been exploring on other projects, but do it in a way in which the words that formed the basis of their work broadcast. That was the place you came to before you went to any other place in the building. And I have to say, this just got juried a week ago, and it won a state design award, so now I'm really confused.